the steps won't run in a straight line, and the escalator could grind to a halt. The power comes from a motor at one end, which drives the chain belt, moving the steps and the handrail along. At the top and bottom of the escalator, the steps collapse on each other, creating a flat platform. The problem with the earliest escalators was getting people on and off. It wasn't immediately obvious how to do this without breaking their necks. To remind us of the problem, let's watch this girl. She is an alien visiting Earth for the first time. She's keen to look around the electronic department on the 4th floor, but she's not at all sure about this big metal thing. Getting on is bad enough, but escaping without losing your toes is a scary business. The answer, of course, was to level the stairs at each end. The next engineering challenge was to make the handrail and steps travel at the same speed. And it's a challenge many escalators fail to meet. You know how it is, you're riding up the escalator, your weight resting on the handrail, and you're gradually pulled forwards or backwards, causing you to jostle the person in front and generally look like a complete idiot. Well, the engineers at Coney have come up with an elegantly simple solution. They've designed the steps and handrail so that they're geared together and run off the same chain, so there's no chance of them running at different speeds. Obvious when you think about it. Now the escalator has been carefully assembled in the factory, all they need to do is get it to the airport. The 11.5-ton escalator has to be transported in one piece from Yorkshire to Heathrow, over 300 kilometres away. This is one of over 100 escalators Coney is making for Heathrow's massive new terminal. The top of the escalator is attached to pulleys and jacked up onto skates to maneuver it into position. It's then hoisted at a precarious 30-degree angle. Now, all that painstaking measuring in the factory is put to the test. If everything has gone to plan, the escalator will be exactly the right size. It's a nervous moment as the top of the escalator finally slides into place. And it's a perfect fit. In fact, the factory work is so accurate, it takes little more than an hour to get the escalator into its final position. That's one down, 99 to go. So the next time you're slogging round a department store, spare a thought for the remarkable piece of engineering which whisks you gracefully up to electrical goods and women's lingerie. Behind the ordinary things that surround us in our daily lives are miraculous advances in engineering, which we rarely get to see. Ingenious solutions to problems most of us never knew existed. Since this program began, $250,000 worth of gold has been found in Nevada. Ping has produced 450 custom-made golf clubs. And the world's escalators have carried over 270 million people. Even the most ordinary objects have an extraordinary story to tell. We only have to watch and listen. Behind the ordinary objects that surround us in our everyday lives lies something extraordinary. Incredible stories of ingenious solutions to problems most of us never knew existed. So what mysteries are concealed in everyday things we take for granted? Tunneling, tea, mountain bikes. Behind the ordinary is the extraordinary, now revealed as we go behind the scenes, inside the machines to find out how do they do it. It looks like the set of a sci-fi film. An apocalyptic vision of life in 2050 after it all goes wrong. And yet far above this dank underground world sits a little slice of paradise. It's mid-afternoon in the village of Abdelajis, just outside Malaga in Spain. Siesta time. As the villagers sleep, in the valley below, an army of 21st century engineering stormtroopers are advancing into battle. The These men are on a mission. They're heading to a place no one has ever been before. Temperatures will reach well over 50 degrees Celsius. Working conditions will be among the most difficult on Earth. They're heading for the heart of a mountain to meet a monster. And here it is. This is one small part of one of the largest land vehicles ever built. The front section of a tunnel boring machine, or TBM. And if you're planning to drive a hole right through a mountain, you shouldn't leave home without one. So, how do you cut right through a mountain of rock? How do they do it? In the Abdelaziz Mountains, they're building 2 parallel 7-kilometer railway tunnels to expand Spain's high-speed rail network. It's a testing challenge for both man and machine, working far beneath the mountain peaks, where the temperature at the cutting face can reach astonishing levels.
Right now we have a temperature of about 40 degrees Celsius, but when the machine is working, it can rise up to 100 degrees Celsius, and it's not nice to be in here.
The engineers aren't the only people digging deep. This project will cost more than $140 million once complete. The traditional way of building tunnels is to blast them out with explosives. The new way involves building the largest and most expensive land vehicles in the world. These TBMs are built by the Robbins Company and Mitsubishi in Spain. And if you fancy buying one, it'll set you back a cool $20 million. But you may need a bigger tool shed. Each of these giants weighs a staggering 1,500 tons and is longer than a football pitch. It takes hundreds of thousands of precision parts to build a TBM. The technology is literally cutting edge. At the business end of a TBM, 64 reinforced steel blades cut tunnels of up to 10 meters in diameter through the hardest rock. Of course, the trouble with a vehicle this long is, it's lousy at turning corners. So once built, it's taken to pieces again and transported by road to the construction site on 30 trucks. Once there, it takes 4 months to reassemble, and then off it goes into the mountain. There's no siesta on this job. The TBMs never stop grinding, day or night. Every 24 hours, they cut approximately 30 meters further into the mountain at a working speed of 2.4 mph. That's not miles per hour, it's meters. The TBM is like a massive spinning top with giant metal teeth, slowly grinding and chewing a path through the mountain.
We are right now in the cutter head, in the farthest part of the TBM machine. It's the closest one to the rock. And here you can see we have 64 cutters. They goes all around the machine.
The cutters can grind through the hardest of rock. It's the soft stuff that causes the problems.
It's very soft and it sticks really to the cutter head like concrete.
The cutter heads themselves can be clogged up or ripped off, and the TBM grinds to a halt. Despite all the state-of-the-art machinery here, there's no substitute for a power drill, a few hammers, and a bit of honest muscle. The TBM controller himself takes charge. He carefully removes the damaged 125-kilogram cutter head and gently and precisely maneuvers the replacement head into its cradle. As the TBM moves deeper underground, the safety of the workers is paramount. Tunnel building is the most hazardous type of construction, and the biggest danger is that the roof of the newly excavated tunnel towards the front of the TBM will collapse. It's said that in the first half of the 20th century, tunneling claimed a life for every kilometer of excavation. So, how do they guard against tunnel collapse at the head of the TBM? The answer lies with these prefabricated blocks of concrete. Outside the tunnel are thousands of these blocks, each one weighing 11.5 tons. As the TBM advances, it leaves a gap. When the gap reaches 1.5 meters, it's immediately filled in by a ring of these blocks. Just getting them into position is a risky business. These massive blocks can easily cause serious injury or death, so the blocks are carefully picked up by suction before they're pushed into place. Up above in sleepy Abdelaziz, the villagers are settling down for the evening meal. Paella perhaps, and a little wine. But for the workers down below, the pace is relentless, servicing the TBM monster which never sleeps. For the next 2 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they'll be burrowing through this mountain, building the magnificent high-speed rail link, bringing the people of Abdelaziz closer to Madrid and the world. Behind the ordinary is the extraordinary. Coming up, tea is the world's most popular drink, but the taste is determined by just a few tea tasters.